Madison here. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be doing a card using the My Favorite Things Tweet on You stamp set and die. I also want to introduce you to my newest family member, Max. He is the one I was telling you guys about. We were fostering him. We decided that we were going to go ahead and go through with the adoption, and he is now our family member. So I'll let you see Max. He is an American Bulldog. Say hello. He's so sweet. He is only a year old, believe it or not. He's a huge big baby. So if you want to see how I made that card, here it is. Thanks for joining me. Bye.
Okay, to get started, we're going to play with the My Favorite Things. This is the Tweet on You stamp set. This is a retired stamp set, unfortunately, but you could use any stamp set that has a tree or birds, or you could even make your own tree. So I'm going to stamp this on my Bristol Smooth 300 paper. Even though we're doing watercolor, I'm not going to be using that much water on the paper, so I don't have to really worry about the paper not absorbing correctly. Now, if you were doing a lot of watercoloring and you're doing a background image and all that, I would definitely use a watercolor paper. I would go for the Canson XL. So for these images, I'm going to stamp using my Simon Says Stamp Intense Black. I'm really still trying to give this ink a fair chance. But I did have to stamp it 3 times to get these images to be nice and clear. So to start this watercoloring off, I'm going to use my Gansai watercolors. So I'm going to first go in with number 33. I'm not going to be really saying the names of the colors because I have heard that the colors names are different in certain sets, but the numbers all add up to correctly. So for this tree, I'm going to start with number 33. This is an orange color. And I'm just going to be putting these colors randomly on the leaves. I kind of want it to look as if the fall leaves are changing. So it's not all going to be orange, it's not all going to be red, or it's not all going to be yellow. Then I'm going to go in with my 36, a red color, and I'm going to fill in the leftover white space. After that, I'm going to go in with my 42, which is a yellow, and just blend those 2 colors together using my yellow. To fill in the tree, I'm going in with number 47. This is a brown, and I took it at its full consistency. I didn't really water this down, and I just used a dry brush to just go up and down to give the tree some texture. I didn't want it to be just a flat brown color for my tree. So as you see, I just kind of went in doing lines until my tree was filled in. Now to fill in the mushroom, I used the number 54, which is a green. I did the stem in the green, and then I went back over it with the 47 to make it a darker brown for the stem. For the top of my mushroom, I went in with my number 36, which is my red that I used for the tree as well, and just filled that in. I did go over with 47 in the circles of the mushroom, which I wish I didn't, but at the end I do use my white Jelly Roll pen to fill in those circles. Now to get on to the birds, I went in with a turquoise blue, which is number 62. This blue is a very pretty blue. It's more like a sky blue to me, but they do have turquoise blue listed on the palette. I went in and watered this down and added that to my birds. I then took some of my leftover 47, which was my brown shade, and mixed that in with my blue to get a nice dark, deep cobalt blue. I used that to do my shading on my birds. I then took the same blue that I used for my birds, then I watered that down a lot. I mean a lot. I just wanted to have a shade of blue. I then went in with my 42, which is my yellow, and filled in the beaks for my birds. Now to move on to the birdhouse. I used my 54, which is my green that we used for the mushroom stem at the top, and filled in the birdhouse itself. And then for the roof, I went back in with my red number 36. For the center of the birdhouse, where the hole is that the birds go in, I went in with my number 47 and filled that in to make that a nice dark hole. I didn't want it to be black though. Now to start with my background. I am still using my Bristol Smooth paper, and there is a reason for that. I wanted this water to flow off the paper and not really be absorbed. I used a whole bunch of water to make a nice design going from one end of my paper to the next, but I left the other 2 corners blank. After I had my paper filled up with a lot of water, I went in with these 3 colors. 42, which was my yellow that we used from earlier. I started that off very watery. This has a whole bunch of water. I watered this all down. I wanted this paint to move fluidly. I want this to be a very soft look, but the idea is I want to be able to flip this page up and for it all to run down so it grades into each other. And then went in with my 36 was that deep red that I used on my other images like the mushroom and the birdhouse, and I put that at the very bottom. When I tilt my page up, you can see all of that water is now dripping down, and that is what I wanted to do. If I used a watercolor paper, it probably would have absorbed and it wouldn't have moved so fluidly. So then I took my orange and I took a tad bit of that red and I mixed those together so I could get a nice gradient of the red to the orange to the yellow. Then I took a little bit of the orange and put it with my yellow and added that to the very top. I like the way this looks. I like the effect that this gives. It's almost like a fire effect in a way. It looks like a burning flame. I then took my heat gun and dried this with the page facing up. So as I'm drying it, it's pushing more of the color and water down. Just make sure you use a paper towel so when all that water does flow to the very end, it doesn't get all over your work surface. To soften the lines on the right hand side, I went through with my water brush and lightly went over those lines and then added a little bit more color. I then heat set this as well and dried this. Now that we have our images, I went ahead and die cut them all out with the coordinating dies. I did kind of overshot the tree a little bit with the die cuts, but it turned out fine. I went ahead and used my foam adhesive and popped up all of these images. This is going to be a very simple card. After I adhered all of my double-sided foam tape, I went ahead and popped up the watercolor background on some double foam tape as well. I adhered that to a glitter cardstock in green, but I ended up not liking this at the end, so I took this back apart. But for now, we'll leave it where it is. I went ahead and placed my images on the card. I wanted this to look almost like a fall theme, but now that I kind of look at it afterwards, it almost looks like there's a fire in the background and the tree is catching on fire. So I guess this could be kind of like a Halloween horror card in a way, if you wanted to think about it. And the birds are just standing there like, yeah, our forest is on fire. But that was not the look I was going for. I was going for nice fall colors. But now that I look at it, it does kind of look like there's a fire in the background. But I still love the way that these colors blend together. Alrighty, now that I have all my images popped up, I'm going to go in with my white Jelly Roll pen. This is number 10, and I'm just going to add some highlights to my bird and the circles of my mushrooms, as I did not like the way that that image was nice and dark. And then I added some lines to the bottom of the mushroom to give it some texture, and a little bit of a highlight in the center of my birdhouse. I also added some dots to the roof to give it a little bit more interest. And as you see, I did not like the way that this green background looked. So I just peeled that off and just took a white base and just put that on my white base cardstock. This is my Michaels 110-pound cardstock that is folded to an A2 size card. Now for my sentiment, I'm going to stamp. This is also from the set, and it says, "You, my friend, make my heart sing." And I have a little music note at the top, and then I also put a music note at the bottom. If you're using a stamping platform, please make sure if you get any ink on the ridge where your platform ends to wipe that off, because that will stamp on your card if you don't wipe that off. So that is my card. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I will be doing a giveaway here real soon, so look forward to that on my next video. And thank you all so much for joining me. I also have a collaboration going on with Dawn Marie here in the next couple cards as well, so be tuned to look for that. If you haven't checked out my Instagram, please do that, and I also have a blog I will list down below as well. Thank you all so much for joining me. You guys have a great rest of your day. Bye!